Welcome back. We're at the Bebout Veterinary Medical Center. Dr. Brandon Bebout and very special guest Brooklyn. And Brooklyn's here for a reason, and we're talking Cushing's disease.
Yeah.
Okay, break that down for us.
So the actual name for Cushing's on the medical side is hyperadrenocorticism. So Cushing's is a lot easier. Hyper, too much. Cortisol coming from our adrenal gland. Cortisol is the stress hormone, fight or flight response.
Okay.
Again, comes from that adrenal gland. Cortisol also mimics things like prednisone that a lot of people know is a steroid, so it's a steroid production. The other thing people think about with steroid production is they think big, bulky people, unlike myself. But these type of steroids are catabolic steroids. And so what we see is we actually see muscle loss, we see fat production and distribution. We will see hunger, thirst. If we're thirsty, the reason they're thirsty is because they're urinating more.
Okay.
And so just think of being on high doses of prednisone for those out there that have been on these steroids. All those make sense. So a lot of P's: polyphagia, increased hunger; polydipsia, increased thirst; polyuria, urination; panting; pendulous abdomen; and occasionally we'll see alopecia. So you kind of fit a P in there too. So we'll see some hair loss too. Typically, this is a disease that comes on 8 to 10 years old or so or later in dogs specifically. And it's usually an owner-found disease. It is diagnosed in the room with the history. My dog's panting, you got to do something about it. He's never been a counter surfer, never gotten into the garbage. Now he's getting in the garbage all the time. He's even drinking out of our toilets. And so it's just very, very odd to the owner, and they come and they say, you got to stop it. So the testing we do is we're just confirming the disease, essentially. Okay. There are some things on general blood work. One is called alkaline phosphatase. ALP is a liver enzyme that's not all that specific, but when it's really, really high, Brooklyn's is over 2,000, doesn't make you sick, but it was actually 3,000 at one point, and since we've been treating, we've gotten it down. But that's one of the indicators that could say, oh, you have all these clinical signs, you have this biochemical abnormality. Let's go on to testing to confirm. There's a lot of different ways to do it. The standard way is called LDDST, low dose dexamethasone suppression test. I love this stuff. It's very, very complicated. I'll do my best. Essentially, we're giving a steroid, which is cortisol, to suppress the pituitary. So the adrenal glands are producing cortisol.
Okay.
It's a negative feedback mechanism. So it comes up and says, pituitary, I've got plenty of cortisol, so you don't need to send down your ACTH to stimulate more. And so it's like your furnace. It hits 68, the furnace shuts off. It drops back down, the furnace turns on. It goes back up, it shuts off. So we're going to reach our threshold back and forth. Well, with Cushing's, 85% of the time there's a little tumor. Don't worry, it's not something that's going to get you. It's just a tumor that's functional that says, I don't care about my negative feedback. I'm going to just keep producing. Okay. And so both our adrenal glands will get big because they're lifting weights all the time. So they're in production all the time. And then we'll see these signs. And so we get through that testing, we confirm it. The dog, if it's a pituitary tumor, again 85, so 85 out of 100 will have that pituitary tumor. They live a completely normal life. We're just managing those clinical signs with a little drug called Veteril, and that blocks the steroid production. Okay, and then there's a little test that we do to kind of monitor those levels and see where we're at. So
okay, so 8 to 10 years old.
Usually older doggies.
Okay.
And not necessarily breed specific, but you're going to see the signs. And so I know there's a lot of you out there that are at home saying, that's my dog. There are more reasons for some of those signs, and we'll get into those as well. But there are a lot of undiagnosed Cushing's patients out there. And once you get them tested for and on the drugs, then it's actually pretty smooth sailing. These guys will go decrease those clinical signs, increase your quality of life, and then again, they'll live their normal lifespan.
And those symptoms will go away then?
They will, and that's how we know that we're already treating for that Cushing successfully.
Wonderful. So if somebody's out there thinking your dog might be suffering from this, give a call.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks, Doc. Appreciate it.
Of course.
All right, stay with us again next week as we bring you another edition of Pet Doc.
Thanks for watching. Please hit the subscribe button. And for the latest news anytime, download the NTV News app.